in Matthew's Gospel, Mark's Gospel, Luke's Gospel, and John's Gospel. If you put them all together, you hear the full story of the week that changed the world. Anybody know what week that is?
Holy Week.
What's it say on that piece of paper?
This is the week that changed the world. This is the week that changed the week.
Well, that's good. Next time we'll do it all together, okay? We already heard about, when the chairs were lined up down the middle, how Jesus entered the holy city of Jerusalem and the people shouted, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. And then we heard that Jesus went into the temple and had a temple tantrum. He got upset. He tipped over the tables of the money changers, those people keeping the animals for sacrifice, and threw them all out. Then Jesus kept going in and out of the temple during the week to teach, to pray. And then Jesus told his disciples on Thursday, I want you to go and prepare a place where I can celebrate the Passover. So they found an upper room that Jesus told them would be there. They made it ready for the feast. And that evening, Jesus did some special things. He knelt down on his hands and knees, and he washed the disciples' feet. The one who's master and Lord of all, and he's the one down on his hands and knees washing their feet. And he said, I'm giving you this as an example, that you too should wash one another's feet. As I have loved you, you should love one another. Then Jesus took the bread and the wine, and he said, do this in remembrance of me. Because, what week is this?
Holy Week.
Hold on, I can't get it. There. Are you ready? Can we do it together?
Yes.
This is the week
that changed the world, because this is Holy Week.
Amen.
After Jesus and his disciples celebrated the meal, we call it what? It was the Passover meal at that time that they celebrated. We call it something else because Jesus instituted the meal we call what? The Last Supper, the Lord's Supper, Holy Communion, Sacrament of the Altar, the Eucharist. Lots of different names that help to highlight different aspects of what this wonderful meal gives to us. We remember Jesus said, do this for the remembrance of me. And Jesus and his disciples went out to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. Jesus told his disciples to wait and watch with him for a little while. He went on a little farther, prayed, Father, if it's possible, let this cup of suffering, what I'm going to have to endure the next day, let it pass by. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Not my will, but yours be done. That's how we should pray or conclude every prayer that we pray. As a matter of fact, if we pray the Lord's Prayer, that's what we do. Then Jesus was taken captive from there. The soldiers found him, they bound his hands, they took him off. He appeared before Caiaphas, the high priest, appeared before the high council. They thought he should die. They took him to Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate. You know who Pontius Pilate was? The Roman governor of the time. And Jesus appeared before him, and Jesus didn't say a word, at least not for a while. Pontius Pilate said, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And Jesus said, "You say so. Hey, you got it. You remember the Passion Week." Pilate then took Jesus in and examined him himself. He said, "What's going on here? I want to let you go free, but you're not helping your situation here. And all those people out there, what are they saying?" Crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. That means kill him, put him up on a cross. Pontius Pilate went out to the crowd and said, I don't find anything this guy's done wrong. The crowd said, crucify him, crucify him. Pontius Pilate said, all right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's make a deal here. I'm going to either let this guy go called Barabbas, or let this guy called Jesus go. Okay, so, Barabbas, he's a murderer. You want him to go free, or this guy, Jesus, who really hasn't done anything wrong? Who do you want to go free? Barabbas. What do you want me to do with Jesus? Crucify him, crucify him. Because this is the week that changed the world. This is Pontius Pilate finally said, I washed my hands of this man's innocent blood. Let his blood now be upon you. And the crowd said, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. Pontius Pilate and his soldiers then put a crown of thorns on Jesus' head. They're trying to handle this very carefully, because if this should be put on any of your heads or mine, it would cause some severe bleeding and pain. Instead, we'll just rest it here for now. Symbolic of it being put on Jesus' head. And they made Jesus carry his own cross out to the place called Golgotha, the place of the skull. Through Jesus' hands or wrists, at his feet, and they hung him on a cross because the crowd wanted him to die. Jesus said several different things from the cross. 7 that we know of. They're called the 7 last sayings, or the 7 last words of Jesus. Among them, as he's hanging there in agony, Jesus says, Father, forgive them. Talking about the soldiers around him who are putting him on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. He saw his mother weeping beneath the cross. And he saw his servant, his disciple, I should say, John. And he said, Woman, I want this guy to now take care of you. And you, John, I want you to now take care of Mary as if she was your own mother. Jesus said, I thirst. It's excruciating being on a cross. They handed him up a reed with hyssop on it and some stale old wine like vinegar. But Jesus didn't drink it, we're told. Jesus cried out, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? A college student knows that. You know where that comes from in the Bible? Psalm 22. Some people believe that Jesus, in abject pain and suffering on the cross, was saying from memory the things he had learned since he was a child, like the songs of Israel. And then Jesus died. Now's the time to ask your question. There was that thing on top of the cross there with those letters in it.
Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews.
It's a saying that Pontius Pilate said should be on there. It stands, it's an abbreviation for Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. The Jewish officials came to Pontius Pilate and said, no, you shouldn't have that on there. You should say, this man says he is the King of the Jews. And Pontius Pilate said, what I've written, I've written. And he left it there. Oh, Pontius Pilate, how right you were. Jesus was on the cross, Scripture tells us, 3 hours. By the way, there were 2 criminals crucified next to Jesus. One who made fun of Jesus and one who said, this guy's done nothing wrong. And he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus also said from the cross, truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise. They came to Jesus and he was already dead. But just to be sure, thank you, the soldier put a spear in his side. To all who viewed it, it looked like blood and water came out.
This is the week that changed the world, because this is Holy Week.
This is what we celebrate on Good Friday. All of God's people should be together. Anyhow, it's in your Bible in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 27, verse 35 begins, after they had finished nailing him to the cross and were waiting for him to die, they whiled away the time by throwing dice for his clothes. Above his head they had posted a criminal charge against him. This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Why do we bother, what's the question this Lent? Following Jesus to the cross? So that we can see that he died there for us. But he doesn't stay there. This week that changed the world doesn't end on Good Friday. Doesn't end. It keeps going. Because every Sunday that we have in our lives is a mini Easter. The one that comes right after Good Friday is the big Easter. And every Sunday is a mini Easter where we celebrate Jesus being alive for us.